Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last Lunch and Learn for the spring semester, exploring Enneagram types. Thank you all for being here. We are going to have a lot of fun today. At first, I would like to thank our sponsors for this series, the Hugh Foundation, EBSCO Industries, and the Jefferson County Community Service Fund. First, a couple of housekeeping items. To begin, please stay muted unless asked to unmute. And if you have any questions during the Lunch and Learn, just drop them into the chat and we will ask them for you at the end of the session. And if you have any technology issues, please message our tech person, Amanda Vanderstelt, in the chat, and she can help you with any problems you may be having. And now it's time to introduce our amazing speaker today, Gladys Schaefer. Gladys received her scholar's certification from the Institute for Conscious Being under the teachings of Joseph Howell, PhD, and the ICB faculty. She is the Dean of Humanities at Spring Valley School and is currently pursuing her doctorate in educational leadership. She has found the Enneagram to be a transformational pathway towards living a more creative and beautiful life, and she is excited to help others discover their creative potential through the Enneagram. Gladys, thank you so much for being here today, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. I have been so welcomed by UAB's art play faculty and staff, and I am honored to be here. And I am honored by your presence. All of those beautiful faces that were coming in, and I saw a couple of friends, a couple of fun family members. Thank you, Robbie and Molly. I saw an old friend, Eric, and I saw one of my newer friends, Shelly. So thank you for being here, and lots of new faces. I'm very honored, and I'm excited about us being together for this hour and just learning some things together. I would love for you all to just take a deep breath. You made it. You made it in. So just saw Kristen. Hey, hon, come in. But everybody, we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Okay, everybody breathe in. Blue skies in, and then breathe out, gray skies out. Blue skies in, gray skies out. Blue skies in, gray skies out. It's a very simple meditation that you can do anytime you like. And I really know that I need it at different times during the day and the evening. My day job that I love so much is at Spring Valley School. And I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Laura Fibash and the staff there for letting me come home for a few hours so I could share with you. Being at a school, one of Birmingham's premier schools, one of the nation's premier schools for children with learning differences, from dyslexia to ADHD, we get to impact lives every day. Yesterday we had awards day, and it's so wonderful to see individuals being celebrated for who they are. And that's what I want to do with you today. I want to celebrate who you are, and I want you to understand more about yourself. And that makes us better, more alive people in the world, more authentic, more conscious. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. In my introduction, I did talk a lot about, there's my first slide. And so what are you doing here today? I love the Lunch and Learns. The last one I came to is the Feng Shui, and that changed my life. I set up a whole new center in the front of my house in my career center, and things have kind of moved around a lot, which was really fun and empowering. And so I would invite you to always sign up for the Lunch and Learns or anything Art Play is doing. But I titled this, the subtitle is Enneagram 101, because I'm not the expert in the room. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, as a 9, I can think of 100 people who could do this talk better than I can. But Art Play, Heath, everyone was very kind to invite me to do it. And I'm very, very honored to be here. But it's become a popular tool for individuals to explore their identity. We want to know specifically for this talk today, how can we take that knowledge of ourselves to become more creative? Art Play, as a nonprofit, is focused on the creatives, the arts, and this is so important. We have a fantastic art department at Spring Valley, and I'm so grateful. And people are walking around doing clay and painting pictures and creating from their essence. And as we travel along the Enneagram from ego to essence, we can also have that self-knowledge that will help us understand even more about how to get through some of those creative blocks. So yes, so Enneagram 101, and you can go past this slide, Dana, we talked about that. So I wanted to start with some of the things I've learned, and that is to really touch each other. We really need to be vulnerable with each other. So I will invite you into that sacred space today with all of us here. And we actually have a prayer that we say together, words that we say in our Enneagram circles. And I just want to share that with you today. And it's a gathering prayer as we gather here together. Give me a candle of the Spirit, O God, as I go down into the deep of my own being. Show me the hidden things. Take me down to the spring of my life and tell me my nature and my name. Give me freedom to grow so that I may become my true self, the fulfillment of the seed which you planted in me at my making. Out of the deep, I cry unto thee, O God. Amen. And that was written by George Appleton. And if you're not, the Enneagram is not only a Christian thing. It's not only a Buddhist thing. It's not only a Sufi thing. It's truth that you can apply to your life. And one of the words we use often is divine. What is the divine? What is the universe? For me, it's Jesus. It's God. But it's open to all, because it's truth and knowledge. So once upon a time, I thought there might be more to life than I knew about. I thought there might be more than running around, checking off the boxes and getting things done, and always feeling a little bit behind. And I started looking for things, being open to things. And Mary Oliver is always someone who has had words for what I'm feeling in my heart. And as you know, we lost her recently in the last few years, and it's a great loss. But she has a poem, and I'm going to read the whole thing to you. But these words truly spoke to me, and I've made all kinds of little things around my house with them, and my children can probably all quote it with me. Mary Oliver's is from a poem, The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down? Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes? Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And that is just a reminder today that we get one wild and precious life. And especially this year of the COVID pandemic, we have lost some of our best and brightest. And many of us have lost those we love. And many of us have suffered through the disease itself. We had COVID in our house at Christmas, and it was very sobering. I think we weren't the same when we came on the other side. I still can't smell everything that I used to be able to smell. I'm very grateful to be here and very grateful to be alive, and with a new understanding that we do get this one wild and precious life. And how do we want to spend it? How many of us want to spend it in joy and fulfillment and peace? So my training started with the Institute for Conscious Being. And even before that, though, it was a Google search. Has anyone ever had a life change by a Google search? I saw a book, and Heath, if you're nearby, you can hold it up. If you have it in your office, we were talking about the other day. It's Ian Krohn's book, The Road Back to You. And during this time of searching, it was before COVID, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, yay, The Road Back to You. That title popped up in my Amazon search. Heath, would you like to say something about that book and what it was for you?
Sure. I think it's just very accessible. I've taken the test a number of times before I figured out what I was, and I felt like it talked to me in a language that wasn't too hard to understand or too preachy, and I just got a lot out of that, and the sequel to that,
Yes.
The Path Between Us.
And I have show that one too. I haven't read that one. So that's next. That's Susan Stabile. They both have fantastic podcast, which is the new Great Way. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I read those, The Road Back to You. I thought that is exactly what I need. Who am I and what am I doing here? And at the time, I have 6 children, and they now are all married. We have 12 grandchildren. So after raising everybody, it's like, well, what am I now? I thought I was a mom. I thought I homeschooled. I got my master's degree. I am these things, but it was like, at the end of the day, who am I? So again, that Google search that could change your life, I typed in Enneagram, Birmingham, Alabama, thinking, well, Ian's in Nashville, but is there anything here? And as the divine, as God would have it, this institute, the Institute for Conscious Being, just happened to be having a conference at All Saints in Homewood. This was about 3 years ago, I'd say. And I couldn't believe it. So I signed up and I went, and I didn't know if I was going to know anybody in the room, which is we don't really like to not know what's going on. We'll go down into our sixes because it's like, oh, we needed to have all the answers. But then as maybe on Facebook or something, I saw that an old friend was going, and that was really fun. So I went to the conference, and they will be having conferences again. And I would just encourage you to go. It's about a 2 or 3 day event, and so many wonderful things about it. But one is that you got to sit in different circles with the different groups. So I thought I was a 6. I'd taken lots of different tests, and I sat with a group of 6, and they just didn't feel quite like me. So I moved over to the 9 table, and we'll talk about some ego types. And I was at home. It was like all of these people from these different walks of life were saying things just like me. The Institute for Conscious Being was founded by Dr. Joseph Howell, who is now at Anniston, and he is just one of the happiest, most joyful people you will ever meet. To just be in his presence, and he wouldn't really let me say this, but it just makes me happy. His grandfather name actually is going to be Happy. But I want to tell you about him and just read about him, because I just couldn't believe that I was going to get to go to this after reading this. The founder of the Institute of Conscious Being is Joseph Howell, PhD, and he is a graduate of St. Frida University. He's from Mobile. He also graduated from Yale Divinity School, the University of Virginia, and was a fellow in clinical psychology, Department of Psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He is on the International Enneagram Association, accredited professional teachers, and he is a clinical psychologist who practiced in Anniston. And he works with his beautiful wife, Lark Howell, and Lark is the one organizing all of us. And there's a wonderful group of faculty there also, and we can go back out from that. But I would encourage you to go look at that website. The faculty is amazing. If I start naming names, I will miss somebody. But from Erica, Roger, Barbara, John, I could go on and on. It's just wonderful. And when we also have some intensive trainings, and that's what I graduated from the first level, the scholars program into the master's. And we meet 3 times a year for intensive training. So now, Enneagram 101. And if you have any questions, if anything pops up, please just put them in the chat as we go. I just wanted to point you, yes, and thank you, Dana, for putting those in there, point you to where I learned most of the meat of what I know, and that has brought such light to me and delight. Okay. So the Enneagram, they believe it originated in the Sufi tradition, and it has been passed down in a narrative, oral manner for decades and centuries and centuries. And the history of it is that in this last century, it's really come to the forefront. And if you've noticed, it's really been picked up. There's everything from the Enneagram and coffee to our institute and everything in between. And so it's a very rich, fertile field. I started, I think, with the Myers-Briggs test. I'm an INFJ, and I thought that was really good. I thought I could learn a lot from it. But when I took some Enneagram tests, and I like Dr. Howell's test that was linked in your invitation, I like it best, of course. But I would encourage you to even take 2 or 3 different tests and see where it comes out, and then read about that. And maybe one day we could even gather together after COVID or something and do that experiment of, hey, I'm most like this, I'm not like that. Okay, so Enneagram. Ennea is Greek for 9, and or Enneagraph and gram writing. So 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the 9, 3, and 6 are connected. We'll talk more about that. The 1, and then you see these connections. We're going to do more. So the 8, 9, and 1 right here, you can't see me circling this because I'm not there. We are the gut center or the body center. We mainly process things through how we feel. And my grandmother was probably a 9, and this is what I grew up with. I'm an adult, I'm in college, my phone rings, I pick it up, and great mama says, Gladys, what's going on? I know, I've been thinking about you and there's something going on. It was like, is somebody calling my grandmother? She always knew. She had an instinct. And when a 9 goes into a room, goes into a party or a meeting, we instantly, without even thinking about it, read a room, and we know who's upset and who's not upset, and who has the power and who doesn't have the power. And we'll go back to that. Hey, will you go back for just a second? And then the 2, 3, and 4s are the heart center. Okay, they feel things. They know when my daughter, one of my daughters lives in Nashville, and she's a 2. When she walks into a room, she knows who's hurting and what to do to fix that. So she feels it. So not instinct, but heart. And then 5, 6, and 7 are the mind centers. And they think things through, especially a 5. And so the way we process things, and of course, as you might imagine, if we can grow and do all of those things at the same time. But we'll talk more about that. Okay, let's go. So the book, Joe's book, Dr. Howell's book, is this book right here. It's his first book. He has a second one coming out. It's called Becoming Conscious, The Enneagram's Forgotten Pathway. And that's what I feel like I'm on. I'm inviting you on, is to a fantastic journey of self-knowledge, self-reflection, growth, and growth toward consciousness. So let's talk about 1s. And Rachel, were you looking at the chat box? I saw quite a few 1s come in, and I can't see everybody right now. But if you think you're a 1, you want to raise your hand, or Rachel, if you could give me maybe a number. If you're a non-wing 1, or
raise your
you
guys
yes.
can raise your hand in the chat. I see people using the emojis. Good job.
Yeah, good. So 1s are the standard bearers. And I probably am a 9 with a stronger 1 wing than an 8 wing. But you guys know. And if a 1 knows the right way and the wrong way to do things. Now, before I go into this too much, let me tell you that when you find out what you are, if you really hate it, it's probably you. If you really think, oh, I didn't want to do that, and all you can see is like, oh, they've got my number. Like 9s can we can just go to sleep if we get overwhelmed. It's like, I don't want everybody to know that. And so don't let me step on your toes, but just know it's a thing of growth. So I have some ones in my life, and they are so good at knowing the right thing to do. And we'll talk later about being in health and being stressed. Those are the two extremes. And the standard bearer can get really angry. 8, 9s, and 1s are one of our magic powers, is that we're really angry sometimes and we don't even know it. We can be asleep to it. And so I'm going to read a little bit from Joe's book. One of our ones are our discerners, who are able to make the right call most of the time. The standard bearers among people, they're extremely aware of doing things the right way. And their pride can be, I'm right and you're wrong. So you just have to kind of watch for that, but know that ones are also can be very hard on themselves, because they know inside they have that same kind of judgment. It's a self-judgment and a world judgment. And a one is great to have on a team, is great to have in your family, because they really can see the truth, and they're usually very organized. They can organize us in beautiful ways. Okay, and they like to avoid anger. They want to just say, most of the 8, 9s, and 1s, we're going to say we're not angry, because we're asleep to it. We've been asleep for a long time. Okay, they can be prudent with resources, and it's really fun when they lighten up. We're going to talk about where they go and help. Okay, the nurturer, 2, and just put in the chat box if you think you're a 2. 2s are known as, I call them helpers. Joe calls them nurturers, and they are beautiful to have in your life. In our school, we have quite a few 2s, and they are so caring and loving, and they seem to have another sense of what you might need. 2s are people who will give a gift and meet a need naturally. They're very good at finding out what other people's needs are, but their avoidance are what they need. So self-care is really hard for 2s to put themselves first. I'm playing with this necklace. I have a wonderful, wonderful executive director, and yesterday she awarded me with this wonderful little necklace that I'm playing with, because I think she has definitely a 2 wing, and she, this really touches me. It says believe, and it just an encouragement that I help others believe in themselves. And I think she got it. She nailed it. She knew exactly what would speak to my heart, even when I didn't. And that's one of the beautiful things about 2. If someone lacks eggs, they know where there is a chicken coop. If you need something, then a 2 is going to help you find it. But being asleep to what they need is one of the pitfalls. And then 3s are called the winners, the successful ones. They are driven to be successful and to avoid failure at all costs. The pride of the 3s, I am successful and efficient. They want to ascend the ladder of success and win the trophy. And they're great competitors. They are really good. They're really good at getting things done. They're visionaries. They can see what needs to be done, and they can go for it. They can, fantastic leaders, many business people are, and politicians and CEOs are 3s, because they can see what needs to happen and make it happen. They could be great athletes. They're great encouragers of their children, and but efficiency can get in the way. And if something needs to get done, maybe they're just going to go do it and just skip a few steps. Okay, so if you happen to know, I know a lot of 3s, yeah, and I see some 2s there. That's really great. Yay. And Shelley, you're a 2. Yes, you are. Shelley has a fantastic educational podcast here in Birmingham. And if you want to put that in the chat, she is really helping the whole state of Alabama learn to read. So she is absolutely living out the dream of being the nurturer. Okay, you can go to the next one, Dana. So going back to the circle, we're at 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2s, and 3s are 2s, 3s, and 4s are the heart center. So 4 is the creator. And I saw, my friend Eric, I was not surprised that you were 4. Eric are you still doing this, Eric? A fantastic musician, fantastic creator. And yes, just absolutely is a blessing. So let me tell you a little bit about fours. And one of my mentors in the Institute is a wonderful four who is just amazing and has created so many wonderful things. Type 4 says to the world, I am unique. Picture with me, if you will, a vision of Jackie Kennedy walking from one room of the White House to the other, looking out the windows. There she is on top of the world's political, social, and economic ladder. As she looks out the window, down the mall, takes a big breath and says, I wish John and I were alone together. The fours are so creative and so gifted, but can be melancholy and feel like everybody else knows what's going on and they don't, or everybody else has something that they don't. But a 4 in health, oh my gosh, great artist, fantastic contributors to the beauty of the world. And 4s are really, they're just fantastic. I want to be them. They're usually dressed beautifully too, like very unique. I'm not sure about this, but I gave an award yesterday for Frida Kahlo, one of my I wore this for my inspiration today. She is one of my very favorite artists, and who overcame so many challenges. But I found out yesterday that she had one of her legs, because of polio as a child, was smaller than the other. So what did she do? She just wore beautiful, long, gorgeous skirts and took something that was upsetting and made it beautiful and accepted the way she was and told everybody they needed to get that where their act and do it too. They don't want to be ordinary. They're exceptional. And they are exceptional. So we know they are. So for them to hear that they are. Now the 5, we call them the scholars. And the type 5 says to the world, I am wise. So again, I'm going to look down at the chat. Is anybody a 5? Oh, Lauren. Oh. Yay. Okay, I've got a 6 there. I'm going to that. Great. Okay, y'all are sweet that there's a recording. I'm just looking here. Oh, Julie is a 5. Good. 5s are amazing. Oh, we have another one. Debris. Yay. So, oh my gosh, if you want to know something, you just ask a 5. And if they don't know about it, if they're interested in it, they will be the experts. My husband and I have a funny thing. He keeps testing as a 9, and he probably is, but he has a lot of 5 tendencies, and he is an expert, a national expert on carnivorous plants. I should have brought one in here. And we have out by our pool, he grows them. He's known across the world, really, with his connections on growing these plants. He knows that they grow in this remote part of Alabama. Venus flytraps, pitcher plants. I don't know if he's on here, if he came on or not, but he knows all about Venus carnivorous plants. So something like that, like what is it that you really love? And if you're a 5, maybe you want to tell us what you love knowing about. And if there's a problem, you can really research deep and you can understand things on a mind level. So 5, 6, and 7, we've moved to the mind, and they can be scholars. But the avoidance is emptiness. They want to take in the knowledge and hold it and be the expert on whatever it is that interests them. And pride, there's some pride in their wisdom because they are so smart. 5s would much rather be on their own in their own room, reading books, researching something on the internet, than sharing what they've read with everybody else. Their fear of their own inner complete emptiness drives them to seek more and more fulfillment. So 5s can... They fear scarcity, so they really can just bring in the knowledge. And of course, we know as we share knowledge, there's even a greater beauty in that. But 5s and their contribution to the world is absolutely amazing. Okay, and Erica, did you say what do you love to do, I wonder? Oh, Dale, you are here, good. We'll keep arguing about whether you're a 5 or not, but I love your plants. Okay, type 6, the team player. The team player, the loyalist, everybody wants some friends who are 6s. And I have a number of children who are children of my heart. And they are loyal. They are the ones who will stay with you through everything, anything and everything, to the bitter end. But they can be consumed with fear. And my children would tell you that, the ones who are 6s. And I have 2 daughters who are very, very interesting. I have 6 children. So, I could tell children's stories all day long. But we, before the Enneagram, would never have picked that these 2 daughters are alike. But it turned out they're both 6s, and they are like two different ends of it. And one's 6, but what they both do is they can see every bad thing that might happen, and they make contingencies for them. Okay, like on an extreme, like the people who are preppers, who we may all need. We may have to go borrow their stuff, but they can really see what might happen at the bitter end, and they have food for enough for their family for 6 months. Or I am a 9 goes to 6 in stress. And so when I travel, I take way too much stuff with me because I can think of all the possibilities. So we'll talk more about that, but they are so loyal, and they, like 9s, like to avoid, we want to avoid some pain. They can be consumed with fear. They can have anxiety. They're afraid of being excluded and abandoned, ridiculed, or taken advantage of. But they can really become very loyal to their spouse or to their friends, and they're so lovable. Some of my closest friends are 6s because I don't know, I guess the word is loyal. So helping them for you to be loyal to them is the trick there. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And it is 7s. And Dr. Howell calls it the bon vivant. And that is like the happy, the hope, the joyful one. And they say, I am happy. And they want to stay happy. They want to avoid pain. And I have someone I work with, a very close friend, and he is amazing. And we laugh about it, that he just wants to have fun. He just wants to go from one thing to another that's fun. And I have a student who one day it was raining outside, so we were watching something during lunch. We've been able to eat outside most days. And it was a Disney something. And he stood up in the middle and he goes, oh, that's terrible. I don't like that. And I realized I think he might be a 7 because he's so happy and joyful all the time. And he didn't like pain. Even in a cartoon movie, I think it was Soul, he was like, I don't like pain. Let's go do something fun. And that person just embraces joy and happiness and really avoids pain and can become narcissized, just like the 9, with shopping or drinking or anything to excess, anything that makes them makes them feel good. Okay. So then 8s, let's see. Oh, Victoria's a 7. Rachel's a 7. You're really fun and you're really happy. Like, I love being around you. You remind me of my friend Adam. And he's a fantastic hypnotist too. And we'll have to get him on an art play thing sometime. But they're just fun to be around. I mean, they're great for a party. Oh, we have another one. Yay, yay. Like, we could have 7s and they could organize a party for us because it would be so good. And this is like just the skimming the surface here. Okay, let's go to 8s. 8s are the commander. And as Art Play knows, my daughter Molly, who's on the call, is an 8. And yes, Robert, she's on Robbie's phone. They are trekking across the U.S. in their car, having a fantastic time. In their itinerary, I told them I should have brought it. We know where they are every night, how many miles, because you're so great to share with us. And I'm thinking like the whole world needs you. And you're organized, and you're, like the one, you really know a really great way to do things. And you inspire the rest of us. Like, we really miss you, 8, 9 living here. I am strong. The 8 wants the world to know that they are strong and they can get things done. I have an 8 at work. Oh my gosh, she again has a clear-sightedness and a power to just say what needs to be said. If you ask an 8, hey, does this outfit look good on me? They'll just tell you, no, it doesn't. But they'll have a great idea for how to make it great. But if you add the scarf and you're like, I look great now. I saw some friends, and one came to the other and said, hey, did I do a good job with that thing I just did? They said, no, not really. The funny things about 8, and Molly and I are laughing about this, and our good friend Erica, who is the other host of the podcast that Institute has, the secret is that 8s want to do something for you to reject them for them to do something so that you'll reject them because they think you're not going to love them anyway. And so 8s, even though they seem really powerful and strong, they have the soft center of a 2, and they want to help. But everybody needs an 8 in their life because you need to get organized. And our lives have been so much better by having an 8. Now, a funny thing about that, we think our oldest son is an 8, and I'm using this with their permission. The oldest boy and the youngest daughter gave my husband this almost the exact same funny card for his birthday last week. Shopped at completely different places, but it was hilarious because once you can start seeing this, you go, oh, these friends are alike, and those friends, and these family members, and those, and it gives you a grace and an understanding that no one's out to get you or to ignore your calls or whatever, but they're built this way, and we're built differently. Okay, and the 9 is the Harmonizer or the Peacemaker. Again, this just is an overview. The 9 says to the world, I am peaceful. We walk into a world, we know a room, a meeting, any place, and we say, okay, something's not right here. What can I do to fix it? And the big question with all of these is, what is our motivation? So a 9 can often be confused as a 2 because our actions might be the same. Like, my sweet mother-in-law is out of her drink, so I'm going to go give her some more coffee. A 2 is doing that so that Nana will love her, which Nana does anyway. A 9 will do it because we don't want to be bothered. We want everybody to be happy so that we can just be at peace. And so that's looking at your motivation, quietly to yourself is very helpful. And that's how I knew I was a 9 instead of a 2. And we can be good. We could be really great with getting things even. We're great mediators when we're in healthy spaces. But we hate conflict. We will do anything. I will walk out of the room if you're arguing, unless I'm really feeling healthy and that I feel like I can, do something. So how many 9s do we have? Or 8s or 9s? Yeah. Yeah. Michelle, Heath, yes. And Robbie, I know you are. And we really like being together because we're not going to bother each other. We're going to really speak the truth. And again, I just want to remind you that this is a very simplistic overview. Okay, let's go on. The big deal with Dr. Howell's work is the idea of the soul child. And this is what I think I was drawn to it because they happen to be having a conference nearby. And I love that saying, I think Confucius, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. The idea of the soul child, Dr. Howell explains it like this, and this really resonated with me. Think of a little child, a cute little child, and they are out playing, and then that child, the essence of the child, goes over and hops into one of those little tyke cars, the ones that have been around forever with the red top, and they start driving around. So the soul of the soul child is that little child inside, and that car, that little tyke's car, is the ego. And the people we've been talking about just now are our egos. Okay, and he has a concept called soulity. He's working on a second book about that. And that is, how can we get back to that person we were born to be? Now, every person is born into this world as a child, right? And one of the exercises we do at that really was meaningful to me is we were supposed to bring a picture of ourselves as a young age. And that helps you decide what number were you born at and how did you get to where you are? So here's a picture I brought, and it's old. Remember, I'm old. It's this old picture. I'm the little girl in the middle. If y'all can see my picture, I'm the little girl in the middle, and I have got things handled. I've decided we're going to play a game, and you're going to put your legs across like that, and you're going to hold on to my hand, and I'm not sure where we're going from here, but it's going to be fantastic. Okay, so that is the picture of a little three who has some success. She has some great ideas, and she is going to go change the world, and we're going to have fun today. Okay, I didn't ask for permission. These are some I just found around the house. This is a picture of another soul child. Isn't she cute? I know she came up with that hairdo by herself and let me do it for her. That's little Molly. She's a soul child too, and that smile and that delight. She is going to help the world and change it. And then this is one of my granddaughter, and this is the person I want you to remember right now. This is Chantry, and just the delight. So here's one of your homework things. I want you to think back to yourself and some of your earliest memories when you are truly being you. Not trying to analyze or anything, and picture maybe a place you lived. I pictured a house we used to live at, and I was sitting under a fig tree. I was reading, I was writing, and that is the idea of essence. The big idea is you're born as a soul child, and then something happens, a trauma, life, and you start building an ego to protect yourself. And you know what? You have to. I couldn't have lived as a 3 forever. I needed to build this cocoon around myself so I could operate in the world. I could move around as a 9. So I grew up in an alcoholic home. Mom was great. Dad was drunk. And I needed protection. And there wasn't any kind of physical abuse or anything, but I knew I couldn't tell them what to do. So I had to get quiet. And it got me to where I needed to be. And the work now in my later life is to find who that essence was. And Dana, if you go on. So again, here we go with our Enneatypes, and go to the next one too, please. So an ego 1 has 2 wings. Okay, go step back for a minute. We have a 9 and a 2. So going back to that other slide, most of us put in, I am a 9 with a wing 1, or I'm a 7 with a wing 8, or whatever. One of the ideas is for us to grow and mature so that we could fly and have both wings going. So that I'll be a 9 with, yes, a 1, but also an 8. And my 8 comes in because our 8 has a righteousness of doing the right thing and taking care of the underdog. So one of my mottos is, mess with me, but don't mess with my children or my family or anybody I love. So that's how I'm developing my 8 wing. So let's flip through these. So an ego 1, when I first took the test, I thought, I'm a 9 with a 5 wing, because that would be my second thing. Well, it's not. Your wings have to be beside you, okay, under the thing. So a 2 has a 1 and a 3. So you have that righteousness of a 1 and the success of a 3. Keep going. An ego 3, or do you see where we're going? A 2 and a 4, going back to the Enneagram. So a 3 has that helper and has that creative bent of a 4. A 4 has 2 wings, the 3 success, and the 5 of really being able to dig deeply into something. An ego 5, thank you, a 4 and a 6. So being that space and that the creative part needs to happen, finding how to do that. And a 6 leaning into that loyal friend who can see what might happen and take care of it. A 6, 5 and 7, you see, keep going. 7, 6 and 8, 8, 7 and 9, so on either side. And then a 9, the 9s and the 1s get a little tricky. An 8 and a 1. So that better understanding of now, okay, how do we turn this into creativity? Let's take a deep breath, everybody. Thank you. What are tools to find out about your essence, who that essence is? So let's go back to, oh, thank you for the cute picture. This is how we're going to get there. Okay, this, if you'll notice, this one looks different, right? This one has some crazy arrows on it. So this is a fixed form, and you can find it. And well, I'm glad to share this too. I'm going to start with 9 because that's what I really, that's what I am. So a 9 in stress is I'm going to follow my arrow. And if you think about that, I'm going to do what comes naturally. I am going to go down to a 6, and a 9 you can be healthy, average, or unhealthy. In each one of these types. So as a 9, I can be healthy, I can be average, I can be unhealthy. And Joe talks about this a lot in his book. Beatrice Chestnut is another great author. We'll talk about some of those other authors. In stress, I go to a 6, and I go to the bottom part of a 6. I go to the unhealthy 6, where I am so worried about everything, I can't even function. In health, if you go back up to 9 and you follow the arrow down, I go to the top of a 3. And the top of a 3 is success. We've got some ideas and we're going to change the world with them. I know I am operating in my 3. And for me, it's more glimpses sometimes. When I have an opportunity to share my ideas, and not just my ideas, but ideas that I really think can help. I was able to speak at a conference on reading a few years ago and being so sick before I got on stage. But once I got on stage and I was able to connect some things I knew with some people who needed to hear it, that was my essence. And it wasn't about me, it was being a conduit. Okay, so that's the general idea. So an ego type 1 is going to go, I'm going to hold this up here in case you need. An ego type 1 in health goes against their arrow to 7. So a 1 goes against their arrow to 7. And that's that fun 7 happy soul child who knows how to have a good time. And we go to the healthy 7. And when you're really stressed 1, you're going to go down here to a 4. So you are going to be melancholy. You're going to be sad. You don't know how to get out of it. So educating yourself on these other types also helps. And to just start, you could just Google, hey, what is a 7 again if you're a 1? Okay, and the next one, an ego type 2. And again, okay, good. And a 2 goes with their arrows to 8. And so my daughter, who's a 2, when things get out of control, and she has some things that can get out of control. She has a husband that gets deployed sometimes, and she just is like, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this. It's a way to survive in the world, really. In health, though, she goes to 4, and she's very creative. And for her, I was asking her about this, and she says for her, in stress, she has to have a calm place to go work, to go create, to write her poetry, to paint her paintings. So she has to create order before. And I think that is true for everybody. Having a special place. I've designed this room that used to be Molly's bedroom and to a place that nurtures my soul. So having a sacred space for yourself, whether that is a closet or whether it's under a tree, it's going to help all of us. Okay, a type 3 against his arrow. A 3 against his arrow. A 3 soul child is a 6. And they are just beautiful, beautiful souls. And a 3 in stress is going to be a 9. And the worst of 9s, we're just going to go to sleep. Okay. And then a 4 A 4, and this, I know this seems confusing. This is something to really study, either in Joe's book or you could find just an Enneagram on the on a website, anything. Okay, so a 4 against her arrow is a 1, and goes from the world is falling apart to I have a plan and I know what's right to do. And diligent action is one of our magic words, especially for a 9 for this too. But in stress, a 4 can just go to a 2 and just kind of go to sleep to herself or himself. Okay, a 5, when 5s are unhealthy, they go to 7s and can struggle with alcohol or drugs or, some things that just narcosize ourselves. And a 5 in health will go to 8. It can really change the world. Okay, and then a 6 against their arrow to a 9. And these are very powerful people. They were born that very peaceful, loving, kind soul. Dr. Howell is a 6, and he operates up here at 9 all the time. Real world changers, and with truth and knowledge and happy. But when they're stressed, the 6 can go with her arrow to 3, and the worst of the 3. Okay, 7s. Good. Okay. This gets confusing to me. A 7 can disintegrate as a 1. Let me tell you how we're going to do this. This is the way to do it. But in health, can go to a 5 and really research and come up with great things. And I see that in my friend Adam, who might be here today. He really knows. He's stepped into hypnotism, but as an art and a science, so that he knows how to help people stop drinking, stop overeating, stop smoking, lose weight. It's just crazy. So he really is the expert on that. Okay, and type 8, when they're stressed, they can become a 5 and just really go deep into research, really go deep into finding all the possible answers. And then in health is the beautiful 2, and that's who they are at their core, and their beauty comes out, and they really help the world and change it. So all of us basically are world changers. We just have to find that. 5 minutes left. Okay, good. I want to have some time. Let's see what is next on our thing here. Okay. After type 9, Dana. Good. Okay, so in creativity, and you can go to the next one. And this is something I would love to open up to you. One of the big deals is this self-remembering. Who was I? Who am I in my essence? And as a 3, I can remember just having great ideas. I had a little sister, big brother, big sister. I had neighbors, and I just loved having a good time and having us do some things that would really be helpful and successful and fun. So self-remembering, taking some time, and go on to the next slide too. How do we do that? So this idea of connecting to who we are, and we call them spiritual disciplines. In general, meditation, being out in nature, journaling, writing, painting, taking time for yourself. So many of us are so busy, especially this year, being wives or husbands, parents, employees, bosses. During this time especially, you have to take time to step aside for yourself and say, hey, I'm going to take care of me so that I can better take care of you, or do what I am called to do. And so one of the questions is this mine to do? There are lots of things out there in the world that need to be doing, but is this mine to do? So connecting with your heart. So again, we're going to do the 3 types. Connecting with your heart. How are you physically? Is your heart in good shape? Are you exercising? Are you eating healthy? So that's one of the ways to reconnect to creativity. A very everyday kind of thing, but are you getting enough proteins? Are you eating too many carbs? And I'm obviously not the expert on those. There's a wonderful foundation called Heart Math And it is a worldwide organization that teaches a special way of breathing and meditating and raising consciousness. And then meditations, what I do as a 9 is I try to start every morning a quiet time and a prayer, centering prayer and meditation with my coffee. It used to be my sweet dog. The other thing is connecting with your body, movement, dance. Turn on the music and start dancing. Molly loves to do that. It really energizes her. Turn on the music and slow dance, but get back into your body. Do body scan meditations are really great. Hey, where am I holding tension? Where am I stuck? Where can I go from here? And then connecting with your mind, really finding out what's going on, journaling, writing, reading. I have an idea called literary therapy, which just means I love to go off in somebody else's world. I love to listen to a book. I love to read a book. And I love to watch a great movie, a drama, or romantic comedy, or whatever it is that feeds you. And it gives me a break from my own overwhelming emotions, again, especially during this time. And then I come back and I'm fresh. So self-remembering, these are just some ideas. Okay, is there another slide? Okay, questions and comments. Great. Is your soul child necessarily along the integration disintegration lines? Yes. And there is it's a going against your arrow, and it's a rule. If you are 9, you're going to go to a 3 in health. And the other idea is an amalgamation of the holy ideas, which is another big topic, but ours is unconditional love. And when we can remember that, we can move from one to the other, and we get to be this unique 9/3 who is uniquely qualified to do our thing in the world. Okay. What else? Rachel?
I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions, we can go a couple minutes over and you can just drop them in the chat and Gladys can ask them for you.
Great. I'm going to share a couple of books. Radical Wholeness is a book by Philip Shepard, and it is mind-blowing. So definitely 5 read, but it is the idea of being whole to ourselves and reconnecting with ourselves. The Enneagram by Richard Rohr. Richard Rohr is a priest out in Albuquerque and a wonderful resource. And just Dr. Howell has daily meditation, so does Rohr. And this is one of the Bibles, Russo and Hudson's The Wisdom of the Enneagram. Facets of Unity, that's Almas. And great ideas there. And then these fun books I've picked up, Finding the Birthday Cake for Students and the Enneagram Made Easy. So these are some quick reads too. But again, I like what has fed me is Dr. Howell's work. Okay. Why some numbers say her soul child? Oh, I just was trying to be politically correct. So if you'll notice, and then I thought, I'm putting pink on all the girls, and I'm not. I'm going to have to go change that. So no, it's him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all have the feminine and the masculine in us, and we all need all of that. So I guess I should have put them or something, but it didn't matter. It was my mistake. Yes. Oh, yes, that's a great point, Ingrid. Answer as if you're about in your 20s, because that is when you are in the zenith of your ego. About 20 years old.
That's really interesting, because I always wondered why we had to think like we were in our 20s, and that makes a lot of sense that we're at the zenith of our ego.
We are, because we've in that early time, and that early wounding could be 3 to 7, just depending. And we laughingly say that we have 6 children, and the 4th and 5th, the 4th and 5th were like oil and vinegar growing up. We say that the 4th child's trauma was that the 5th child was born. Because it was like, oh my gosh, this child is so different from me. Or the 3rd child, the helper, she would agree with this, is like So she became helping when her little sister was born 18 months later by bringing us diapers. And we said stuff like, oh, that you're such a great helper. Oh, you're amazing. And her little 8, who was going to rule the world, thought, oh, I can function by being a 2. So parents usually do it. So it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a terrible, horrible thing that happened. It's just growing up.
I have a question just about if, like, when your Enneagram number doesn't feel right, like if you're testing wrong. I feel very comfortable at an 8, but I feel like that level of, I don't know, if you were in your 20s and not feeling like your full self, if that makes any sense. What do you do?
Sure, it does. I would just I would go to a conference and sit around with others who are like me. I would keep reading and maybe keep testing. Talk to people who love you and who really know you. I think that's the other secret is, hey, what do you think? And people that you can be authentic and honest with and let them say the hard things to you. What do you think? Do you have any other ideas?
I don't know if you're asking me. We're in the desert, and
yes, and this is Molly.
I definitely agree with asking people who like really know you and like not like know the truest form of you. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you and Robbie have told me whenever I'm like, oh, I might be this. Y'all are like, no, you're an 8, and I identify.
Yes, and one of our rules that I'm not very good at is you're not supposed to tell other people what their numbers are, and you're not supposed to type others because it's a self. But it has helped me understand others and give a compassion. And I wanted, yay! Oh, yes, I'd love to talk to you. I wanted to share this poem with you. Again, it's Mary Oliver, who is my poet. She may be yours. Don't worry. That's what I want to end this with. Don't worry. Things take the time they take. Don't worry. How many roads did St. Augustine follow before he became St. Augustine? So that is the end of my presentation. I'm so grateful for this time together. And if you have any questions, I can hang around. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gladys. This was so helpful. I think a lot of time we get so obsessed with our own type that we forget to think about the other types and also how we might go to those types in stress and in health.
Yeah.
And I love what the Enneagram does with work relationships and personal relationships and knowing how you're going to react to the other types. That's always super informative for me.
Well, that's very helpful, Heath, to hear your experience with it in the workforce as a leader who has said, hey, let's do this and see how we can help each other. That really has been helpful. And our family and friends and acquaintances, even in a party, like I walked into a baby shower for the first time to be with others after vaccines. And it was like, you could kind of, look at that. And look at that 7 over there drinking and they're having a great time. I'm going to go join them.
I think if anyone can convince their work team to take the Enneagram test, it will be enormously beneficial because I've done that at several workplaces, including this one. And it's been so helpful.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yes. And I put my email address on there if anybody has any questions or anything I can help them with. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Oh, Shelley, thank you. Know thyself. Oh, I love that. Know thyself. Oh, that's really good. Oh, yeah. And our degrees can really, what did we, y'all, I mean, as a 9, I was just, in my 20s, I was an IRS agent. Because I was like, I need to get a job and have security and do whatever I think. And then I was able to grow up from that. And now I'm an educator and I love it. So
I have a feeling I'm going to end up being like a mediator, a counselor one day in my future. Like my next step is going to be helping that way. That's how I initially started out. And I've just kind of, I'm still in the figuring it out stage, but.
Yes, I always want to be a counselor, especially as a 9, I can see all the good parts of everything. So it's, yeah, you too. But a counselor, yeah, I don't know if I could hold all the pain though. My daughter is working her PhD in counseling.
That was my main concern, honestly, is what stopped me from going into like actual social work. Is I didn't know if I could truly handle all the other issues that other people do go through.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I just admire them, especially now. Mental health, taking care of our mental health is so important, especially in this time. And I think our consciousness has been raised because I think we see that more. We gave an award yesterday for self-advocacy to one of our students, and it was beautiful. I got to present it. And just that we celebrate that now, and that we can say to each other, hey, not only am I 9, but I am riddled by anxiety right now because I'm down in my 6 and I can see the world is about to end. And I need my 8 friend to come help me organize the pantry. I would love to hear your thoughts. Or Eric, do you have anything to say? I can't believe you're here. It's so good to see you. Do you say 4-wing 5?
I am. Yeah, it's really funny. So when I began exploring the Enneagram, it was in my last deployment. So I'm sitting in Syria. I have nothing better to do, obviously. And when I took the test, I took it through Ready, I guess. And I was a hard 2, and I came back, and my sister-in-law she's well versed in the Enneagram. She goes, "No, you're not," and it was because I was in the middle of I just come through a divorce.
Yeah.
Everything I jumped into going to a war in Syria, and when I took that, and I came back and I was like, and I took it again. There was like, no, you're a 4. I was at my I was at the bottom of my disintegration, at that point. And I was, so yeah, I love it. I've been studying it for the past couple of years now. So it's really engaging, and I've enjoyed it. And it's so good to see you. I got to create Birmingham's email list, and I saw it, and I was like, I just saw Enneagram, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I saw that it was you doing it. So I was so excited. Gladys was like, she was like another mother growing up. So like their whole family will always have a special place in my heart. She's the best.
Eric, that's Molly there that says Robert Thompson.
I know.
You know that.
I don't want to. Everybody.
Such a little girl.
I know. She's so little.
And now she's all grown up, out saving the world. So y'all, anyway, this has been wonderful. If y'all have any other words of wisdom you'd like to share, I really could talk about this forever. Ingrid, I realize who you are now. I couldn't see the pictures of everybody. Yes, we are friends. Yay. Yay. Thank you. Yes. So do you have a song, Eric? I see that guitar. Well, Molly has written some great music. Next time we talk about Enneagram, we'll make you guys sing or something. That would be great.
I'm going to touch base with you guys again.
Yeah, and just the compassion for yourself, what Eric was just sharing. When you look back at hard times in your life, and I have some points where total brokenness. I love that. Yeah, like that. I was dressed up like a lion. To be compassionate to yourself and say, I survived. I am here today, and I am grateful to be here. And how can I gain consciousness and live in this space in a way that is beautiful and freeing and a blessing to myself and to others? And that's what you've all been to me today. So I guess we will end it, Rachel.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gladys. We so appreciate you. Maybe in the fall we can have some Enneagram creativity jams or something when we can all get together in person, hopefully. Thank you so much, and we'll go ahead and end the session. Thank you, everyone.